working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus, delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. I'm Judith Yamera. On today's headlines. A Lion Air jet that crashed last month should have been grounded over a recurrent technical problem and never permitted to make the fatal flight, Indonesian authorities said Wednesday in a report that took aim at the carrier's for safety culture. Local carriers Philippine Airlines, Cebu Pacific, and Air Asia have announced they will start flight operations at the Bohol Panglao International Airport on Wednesday, November 28. And more than a third of Indonesia's coral reefs are in bad condition, scientists said Tuesday, raising concerns about the future of the archipelago's vast marine ecosystem. A Lion Air jet that crashed last month should have been grounded over a recurrent technical problem and never permitted to make the fatal flight, Indonesian authorities said Wednesday in a report that took aim at the carrier's poor safety culture. The Boeing 737 MAX vanished from radar about 13 minutes after taking off from Jakarta on October 29, slamming into the Java Sea moments after it had asked to return to the capital. The report confirmed that initial findings, saying the plane's data recorder detected an issue with an AOA. An AOA sensor provides data about the angle at which air is passing over the wings and tells pilots how much lift a plane is getting. The information can be critical and preventing an aircraft from stalling. Now it also said the plane's stick shaker, the steering wheel-like handles in front of the pilots that vibrates to warn of a system malfunction, was activated and continued for most of the flight. The preliminary crash report from Indonesia's Transport Safety Agency did not pinpoint a definitive cause of the accident, which killed all of 189 people on board, with a final report not likely to be filed until next year. Now, black box data showed the plane also had an airspeed indicator issue on multiple earlier flights. The transport agency said Lion must take steps to improve the safety culture and ensure all the operations documents are properly filed or filled and documented. The APA, a U.S. airline pilots union, said that carriers and pilots had not been informed by Boeing of certain changes in the aircraft control system installed of the new MAX variants of the 737. Several relatives of the crash victims have already filed lawsuits against Boeing, including the family of a young doctor who was to have married his high school sweetheart this month. Lion Air flight JT610 plunged into the sea less than half an hour after taking off on a routine flight to Pangkal, Pinang City. Authorities have called off the grim task of identifying victims of the crash, with 125 passengers officially recognized after testing on human remains that filled some 200 body bags.
Di penerbangan Denpasar Jakarta, pesawat mengalami gangguan pada saat terbang. Pilot memutuskan untuk terus sampai Jakarta. Inilah dasar yang keluar rekomendasi kita yang pertama tadi, Pak, kepada Lion Air untuk pilotnya atau untuk menentukan terus atau kembali. Menurut pandangan kami yang terjadi itu pesawat sudah tidak layak terbang. Menurut pendapat kami seharusnya penerbangan itu tidak dilanjutkan. But what happened in the accident flight, why the pilot did a different action? These the things that we need to find. That's why we really wanted to have the cockpit voice recorder. We need to know what was the pilot discussion during the flight.
Nearly 100 Rohingya Muslims were forced back to Myanmar's Rakhine state after being detained at sea en route to Malaysia. Police said Wednesday, stirring fears of a fresh refugee boat crisis. 3 vessels carrying fleeing Rohingya have now been seized and returned to Rakhine over the past 2 weeks. as the monsoon season gives way to more favorable, if still treacherous sailing conditions. All on board the third boat were being returned to camps around the capital Sitwe in the central part of the state, where more than 120,000 people have been confined since intercommunal violence in 2012. A photo in local media showed the group huddled on the deck in the baking sun, a scene reminiscent of the boat crisis in 2015 that saw countless Rohingya abandoned by smugglers in the Andaman Sea after authorities shut down trafficking routes. They were headed for Malaysia when they stopped by Navy officers on Sunday night off the southern town of Dawe Police Major Min Luin told AFP. They were all sent back to Sitwe on a Navy boat last night, he said, adding that the group, two-thirds of whom were under the age of 18, would arrive on Thursday or Friday. The newly appointed Supreme Court Chief Justice Lucas Bersamin started his first press briefing with a request to the media and to the public for understanding, asking for a few more days so that he could complete his written, detailed plans as head of the Supreme Court. His appointment as the head of the highest court of the land surprised him, he said. In his first press briefing, minutes after he took his oath of office on Wednesday, November 28, Chief Justice Bersamin said he did not really expect or aim to head the highest tribunal and only joined the selection process for Chief Justice because he happened to be the third most senior justice in the High Court. Although he was not the most senior justice of the High Court before his appointment, Bersamin served the longest in the Philippine judicial system as he was first appointed as regional trial court judge 32 years ago in April 1986. Bersamin is the third most senior justice of the Supreme Court after Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio, who was appointed to the High Tribunal in 2001, and Associate Justice Diosdado Peralta, who was appointed in January 2009. Both Carpio and Peralta, together with Associate Justices Estela Perlas Bernabe and Andres Reyes Jr., and Bersamin are in the JBC shortlist for Chief Justice submitted to President Rodrigo Duterte. More news when ASEAN in Focus returns.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced, eagle news, because we live in interesting times.
Local carriers, Philippine Airlines, Cebu Pacific, and Air Asia have announced they will start flight operations at the Bohol Panglao International Airport on Wednesday, November 28. With a budget of 8.9 billion pesos, construction of the BPIA started on June 2015 on a total land area of 22 hectares. It is projected to accommodate more than 2 million local and foreign tourists and passengers annually compared to the 800,000 capacity of the Tagbilaran Airport. CAAP spokesperson Eric Apolonio said that the new airport will be replaced the Tagbilaran Airport. According to the Department of Transportation, the new airport features energy-saving and clean technology, such as green and sustainable structures, solar panels, motion sensor lighting, and natural ventilations.
This modern airport will serve local and international tourists who would like to experience the beauty of Panglao. It will also address the problem of our growing traffic congestion and accelerate economic activities in the region. Be assured of this government's full support as you make Bohol more accessible to the world through this new airport. Kagaganda pa ng mga stewardess nasaan dyan. Kung na ba aeroplano ninyo mo larga kayo mo sakay ko. Indeed, now is the perfect time to see the wonders of Bohol. As we formally open the doors of BPIA, I urge you to demonstrate solidarity in our shared task of building a stronger and more robust society for all. Daghang salamat sa inyong tanan.
Sellers and buyers will soon engage in a single platform where they could transact business from supply chain management to procurement and logistics. Procurement and Supply Institute of Asia, or PASA, chairman of the board and CEO Charlie Villaseñor, said that the rise of a single electronic marketplace is one of the technology disruptions that will impact on the industry. This could be the next biggest story in the horizon next year because more companies are coming to us and they're already being part of e-marketplace, he said. On the sidelines of the recent concluded PASA World 2018 Supply Chain, Procurement and Logistics Educational and Networking Conference held at the Marriott Hotel, Villaseñor said that the e-commerce platform will differentiate the way B2B transactions with the SMEs and large companies and how they conduct business with buyers. Villaseñor noted that we are living in a strange economy right now and many companies could not adopt into digitalization. They don't have the resources, they don't have the capital, they don't have the know-how to do it. So they will actually rely on available electronic marketplaces and providers who has the know-how and the capacity to actually deliver the platform, he explained. According to Villaseñor, the number of the companies that are dropping out of the list is so fast now. The smaller players are enabled and the player who has the highest value is going to disrupt. He said that small and medium enterprises can work even with competitors because the marketplace or the electronic marketplace is like a portal. So if there are more users on the portal, everybody wins. They are able to reduce their costs, they are able to make efficient, and everybody survives. What we are doing is we are elevating the value proposition to the world. We cannot just remain as call centers as we are going to impact where it matters most to the business. And what matters most to their business is that companies are going to compete on their supply chain, not only on the product and services that they sell, he said. So this is one strategic approach to elevate their supply chains efficiently by making sure they know where to offshore, outsource, outtask, and get augmentation help to providers. Villaseñor believes that the Philippines has something to offer which is not easily duplicable by countries like China and India at this time. He also said that what is more important is training people in many industries, whatever size of an organization, that they have to be knowledgeable on supply chain because companies are not going to compete only on the product that they produced. Companies are going to compete on how they execute their supply chain, procurement, and logistics. Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad said Malaysia hopes to promote the identification of the potentials and prospects for green industries and jobs in the ASEAN member countries during its tenure as the chairman of ASEAN Labour Sector. The Prime Minister said Malaysia also hopes to develop corresponding regional policies regarding green industries during the 3-year period from this year to 2020. Dr. Mahathir said ASEAN looks forward to working with its dialogue partners, China, South Korea, and Japan, to make meaningful headway for the future of green jobs and skills in the region. He expressed confidence that the ASEAN Labour Sector will witness significant outcomes in promoting and facilitating the greening of industries as well as jobs and skills. Dr. Mahathir said he noted that over the last 2 years, employment in the green economy across ASEAN has grown by 3.2% compared to the overall economic growth of 5 to 6%, as reported in the Development Bank of Singapore Annual Report 2017 on green job opportunities in ASEAN. He said the greening of the regional economy also demands that the people in the region specialize in the right skills, adapt to changes, and seize the new opportunity. The Straits Times reports that North Korea has taken the initiative to kickstart Track 2, or non-governmental diplomacy, with ASEAN. A Korea watcher has said. Dr. Hu Chu-ping of the National University of Malaysia told a panel at the Straits Times Global Outlook Forum on Wednesday that the North Koreans have reached out to a Myanmar think tank asking it to host a dialogue on the Korean Peninsula. While details of the roundtable have not been finalized, the outreach is seen as a welcome step as Pyongyang has reduced its engagement with a regional network of think tanks that looks at the security issues in the past decade. Dr. Hu later told the Straits Times that the roundtable was proposed for the middle of next month. She was quite surprised by the North Korean move, but added that she sees it as a welcome sign. The Malaysian Institute is a member of the ASEAN Institutes of Strategic and International Studies think tank network that is involved in Track 2 diplomacy in the region. The upcoming roundtable to be held in Myanmar is one way to maintain what Dr. Hu describes as a thin line of connection between North Korea and ASEAN. Southeast Asia's hiring outlook in 2019 is expected to remain positive as digitalization and the region's role as an industrial hub continue to grow, according to the latest annual salary survey by Robert Walters. The business reports that, in particular, professions in high demand include specialists with relevant IT skill sets, as well as those with industrial experience across various roles. The survey noted that robust growth in maturing ASEAN economies such as Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam are expected to continue as multinational companies and foreign direct investment continue to drive stiff competition for skilled and experienced talent. In comparison, hiring in Singapore and Malaysia will remain stable and modest as companies seek greater productivity through the hiring of better skilled professionals. With Southeast Asia's growing role as an industrial hub within Asia, IT specialists in the niche areas of cybersecurity, big data, and artificial intelligence remain in high demand, as well as digital experts beyond the technology sector. ASEAN in Focus, we'll be right back.
The latest news and information here and abroad. In Aguila, Balita, track the latest happenings in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Be aware of important events in Asia in ASEAN in Focus, and be updated in the biggest news around the world in Eagle News International. Tune into Mata ng Aguila and get the day's headlines and news that are sharp, accurate, and objective. Only here at Net 25.
Makita mo na pangkaraniwan tao rin yan di ba? Hindi naman perfecto yung ating mga bayani.
Puro yun yung dapat maintindihan ng mga estudyante na hindi sila naging bayani dahil pinanganak silang bayani.
Oo.
Ito ang pinunit ng mga mamamayang Pilipino sa cry o pugad lawin. Crime.
Dahil sa pagmamahal sa bansa. Parang kulang nakikita ko as Filipinos.
More than a third of Indonesia's coral reefs are in bad condition, scientists said Tuesday, raising concerns about the future of the archipelago's vast marine ecosystem. The precarious state of the country's coral reefs was revealed after a survey of 1067 sites across the sprawling country of more than 17,000 islands. Scientists from Indonesian Institute of Sciences found that just 6.5% Indonesia's coral reefs were in excellent condition, while 36% are in bad condition. Some 34% in sufficient condition, with rest classified as being in good condition. Anthropogenic factors are having more influence on the condition of corals in Indonesia today. Dr. Dirham Shah, head of the Institute's Oceanographic Research Center, said in a statement, "The use of coast has increased, which can threaten the ecosystem." He, who like many Indonesians has only one name, said greater public awareness was needed for the survival of marine life in Indonesia. Indonesia is one of the most extensive coral reef systems in the world, and more people live close to reefs than anywhere else on the planet, according to the Coral Reef Alliance. But the giant living organisms face a number of threats, including man-made climate change, destructive fishing techniques, and nutrient and sediment loading. Indonesia is also the world's second biggest contributor to marine debris after China, producing an estimated 1.29 million metric tons annually. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Judith Yamera, and I'm 1 with 25.